Hi, this is Michael Waits, and welcome back to Insurance for the New Possible, a Chubb conversation. We are joined today by Dr. Thamakorn Supathanarangsri, the Head of Government Affairs at Lazada, Thailand, and Andrew Nisbet, Country President, Chubb Samaggi Insurance. Dr. Thamakorn and Andrew, thank you so much for coming and doing the show today. Before we start, let's get a little bit of each of your backgrounds. First, Dr. Thamakorn, let's start with you.
Okay, hi. So thank you so much for having me here at your podcast. So I'm leading the government affairs at Lazada. So what I'm doing is that I work with the government agencies and try to make sure that Lazada are compliant with all the regulatory in Thailand. Yes, that's
Got it. Andrew?
Thanks, Michael, and hi, Dr. Thamakorn. My name is Andrew Nisbet. I'm the country president for Chubb Samaggi here in Thailand, so I run our non-life organization. I've been with Chubb Group over 18 years now, and it's taken me all around the world. So I'm originally from New Zealand. I've then worked in the company in Australia and Japan. I was in London for a period of time running our UK, Ireland, Eurasia, and Africa business before coming to Thailand about 5 years ago. So love the insurance business. Fun fact, I guess, is I found my way into insurance through an eventful youth where I broke a lot of bones in my life. So I've had to call on insurance.
A lot of health insurance
that sort of
usage.
got me into the industry.
Nice, I like it. I love the anecdotes. That's really great. Dr. Thamakorn, let's start with you. How would you describe the current state of the e-commerce market in Thailand?
So for Thailand, I think we are one of the largest e-commerce market among the Southeast Asia.
Makes sense.
So like the estimated value is about like $30 billion and it's growing every year.
Yeah.
Yes. So and the key drive of this growth is the increasing internet penetration of the Thai society. So now everyone are using the mobile, and the key activity that they are doing is to shopping online. And the second thing is about the Thailand government push, because they try to make sure that all the Thais have the access to the digital. So that's...
That's interesting. So you've lived all over the world and you travel all over the world, right? Do you notice how great the connectivity is in Thailand?
Yeah, I mean, you get internet everywhere. I think that and the penetration. I mean, everyone's on a smartphone here. You've got so much downtime. People are always on their phone, and what better thing to do than go shopping?
From your perspective, right, what do you see as some of the key growth drivers and trends in e-commerce at scale, yeah?
Yeah, I would say it's what I mentioned, it's shoppertainment. I mean, people have so much downtime and gaps, and if you look at people now, I don't know if it's the new age, but social anxiety. Anytime you got any spare time, right? Everyone's whipping out the phone, and then what do you do, right? And the e-commerce sites that are being built and out there now are just so engaging, right? So I think that's driving, a lot of activity.
I agree. Look, we talked when we were offline that I was basically here when Lazada was started, right? So I've seen a whole bunch of changes over time. I'm curious what you've seen as some of the biggest changes in the last 3 to 4 years in the Thai e-commerce market.
So I think it's maybe since the pandemic that drive Thai people to digital, right? Because when people cannot go outside of their homes and to do offline activities, then they just come to online, just like you said just now. They just whipping out their phone and then just Googling everything and try to search for what they want. So I think that's a pattern of Thai people behavior now. No matter what, whether they are on the consumer side or on the seller side, but everyone just on digital platform.
So if it's Shoppertainment, right, what do we think is going to change going forward? So we've already talked about where we are, how big the market is, and the fact that it's growing a lot, right? $30 billion is gigantic. It's really large. But where are we going? What do you think?
I still think probably one of the gaps is, certainty around delivery, and people want the gratification, right? I bought something, I want to get it.
I agree.
And that's sort of still the challenge, I would say, in Thailand, just confidence around when the delivery is going to come. And I think we're going to see more, there's ever-evolving competition in the space, but there's a lot of collaboration between, online influencers. And I think Thais as a culture, they're heavily influenced by the online influencers. I think I saw a stat where 81% of Thais have bought a product on the recommendation
of an influencer. That's a big number. So that was the thing I wanted to ask you, right? What makes Thailand different? from a market perspective, even from a marketing perspective, maybe when you look at the e-commerce market in Thailand and then look around the rest of the region, what makes it different?
So I think like for Thai people, like you said, Andrew, I think it's very interesting that a lot of Thai people, they are follow their influencers, recommendation and all, right? So I think it's like, maybe it's our culture that we listen to who we love, who we believe, right? So that's how the influence can really do influence their shopping patterns and yeah.
I like it. Very interesting stuff. Okay. We've introduced Lazada and we've introduced Chubb. You want to talk a little bit about some of the ways you're working together, how those products get developed, how they were originated, and maybe some of the innovations as well.
Sure. Yeah. So I guess our partnership really started a little over a year ago, and Chubb being a multinational insurance carrier, we're engaging with Lazada over multiple markets across Southeast Asia. But here in Thailand, we initially started with electronic devices, and I think, part of the challenge is to increase average order size and give consumers certainty. So we started embedding accidental damage and theft insurance into the purchase path of consumers and electronic devices, and expanded that into sort of home appliances, just to give consumers more trust and confidence in what they were buying, and they'd be protected if any damage or theft occurred.
What is the regulatory role of these types of discussions? I'm really curious. When you're talking to the government, you say we want to roll out these new products, not just new products that we're going to sell on the platform, but the products that we're going to embed into those products. What are those discussions like?
So I think like for the regulatory perspective, like in Thailand, we do have a lot of regulations and law that try to protect consumer. Like for Lazada, we have to comply with the Consumer Protection Act, which is under the Prime Minister office, right? So because I think because it's something that you guys said just now that people are so afraid that when they do shopping online, whether they get it or not, whether they get it just right what they want or not. So that's why Lazada, we try to make sure that everyone are safe on our platform. And also like for the service that Chubb provide, because the electronic appliance category is a very big on our platform. So we want to make sure that when people do order, they will get the protection after maybe a year after they brought the products, right? Or maybe they drop it in the water, or maybe they broken it and everything. It's just to make sure that people feel safe. And for the we also do have the refund and return policy. So people who are shopping on Lazada, they can get like 30 days free return and refund policy. And we do like easy drop off and everything. So because like people who are shop online, they are more into like the convenience to do shopping.
Sure.
Right. And they just want to make sure that their payment, their data privacy are protected.
Yeah. I'll just add to that, Michael.
Please.
Also, the Office of the Insurance Commission, so our regulator here, we need to take them through the onboarding journey, right? So one, we've got to file and get our products approved. And on the other hand, they want to understand the customer journey to buy the product, and if there's refunds or claims, how that's all going to work.
Right.
And then they approve that sort of on both sides. So there's quite a lot of regulatory oversight.
Yeah, I mean, this is just my opinion, but I've also worked with the OIC in a few different things, and I find them to be very forward-looking and also very open to new products, right? I don't want to use a term for this per se, but we've had the OIC on some of our other programs, and I found them to be really open-minded and really easy to work with.
Look, I would agree with that. I mean, we just yesterday, actually, we had the OIC CEO forum, and they are very proactive about trying to build the industry, and we've got this sandbox, regulatory sandbox, where we have new product innovations now, creates a smoother way to try and get that through. Or if we're trying to sell products in a more digital way that's new and innovative, they'll look at that separately to what the black and white of the regulation is. So it's very, very helpful.
So Chubb has done a ton of research on like buyer pain points and seller pain points. Do you want to talk about some of those?
Well, we really try and collaborate with distribution partners really to understand what their concerns are and what some of their goals are. And it's, not just with partners like Lazada, but also, e-commerce spans a lot of subcategories
across
like deliveries and logistics and things like this. So we try and sit down with them and understand, well, what are the customer pain points? What's stopping them from buying? How do we think we can develop and co-collaborate on product innovations? So one just recently, as we mentioned, we started with electronic devices with Lazada, and then we just started to look at, well, how can we broaden product propositions into different categories? So cosmetics, a big one, and I think a lot of people probably fear counterfeit cosmetics. Do they know what ingredients are in there? These types of things. So we've just actually launched maybe about 6 weeks ago now a product to deal with allergies or reactions that a customer might get from using cosmetic products. So it's really aimed at, again, just giving customers confidence to buy the product, to try it, and obviously over time to try and push up average order size. But if they were to get any kind of allergic reaction or vomiting or diarrhea, they can go to the hospital, see a doctor, and get those medical expenses reimbursed.
I like it a lot. Do you want to talk about not just the customer experience, but a little bit more on the consumer protection side as well? Because this is actually a certain type of consumer protection, right? So when you look at that as well, and you're having conversations about new products like this, how are you looking at it? And then how is the regulatory environment looking at it?
So I think like for Thailand, right, the consumer is a very pivotal for a platform like us. So like we also have a motto in Lazada. We said it customer first.
Right.
So that's how we put the customer at the heart of everyone's in Lazada.
Right.
Yes. And for the regulatory, right, when I talk to the government side, so we try to emphasize that we do have all the like platform governance that protects the consumer. And not only we see people in our ecosystem, not only like the consumer that come to buy things online, but it's also like the seller that we are consider them as our consumer as well.
Right.
Right. So we try to protect both sides and we try to be the mediator.
So what are some of the biggest concerns or the primary concerns that sellers have on the platform? And maybe how do you try to address them? Right.
Okay. So for the e-commerce platform, it's a very rapid change.
Yeah, it must be,
area,
right?
Right. So what sellers do have a concern is about like how can they seize the opportunity online.
Right.
Yes. So we do have a feature that easy for them to be able to do the online. Like for the smart listing, we have the AI generated content for them.
Really? So that's kind of cool. So if they list something on the platform, AI in the back end then goes out and helps them do that listing. That's kind of cool.
Yes, correct.
Sorry,
yes.
Go ahead. I interrupted you.
Yeah. Yes. So they just like put the name of the products and then just a very short description, and the rest the AI will try to generate all the description that it's fits to the audience for them. So to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to be online, no matter like whether like their size is small or they are like a big corporate.
I like it.
I can imagine the challenge of that, though. When I'm on the site shopping away, how do you differentiate other than on price, right? And it's a lot of that is like the positioning of the product, how good your photos are, right? But it must be challenging for merchants when there's so many in the same product category. How do they really stand out and catch the customer's eye on something other than just price?
So I think it was Steve Jobs who said, if you build the right technology, it feels like magic, right? And I think that when consumers, at least for a consumer like I am, looks at the e-commerce thing, I press a couple of buttons, I make a couple of payments, and something shows up at my door, that's kind of magical for me. But the other thing is that the simplicity of it on the front end definitely means that there's complexity on the back end. Right. So this. And I think this is the point, that as soon as you can make it easy for sellers, seamless for buyers, that the experience across the board is going to be so much better. But I also think that the trust part is really important. And that's what I wanted to ask you about as well. And then you can come in afterwards, right? If trust is really crucial for a well-functioning e-commerce market, how do you work together with Lazada, not just on the product stuff per se, to build consumer trust, right? Because this is super important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we talk about, like Dr. Thamakorn said, I think some of the innovations that Lazada and other providers have had is like, how do they give guarantees, right? And I think one of the cool initiatives that I've seen on Lazada is this concept of, well, if you buy, if you've got any problem, the product arrives that's not, what you think you ordered, or it's got a defect, you can kind of return it and get a hassle-free, money back, right? And those are the areas that we would look to collaborate, because some of that is just a transfer of risk.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I think even as we sort of get deeper into the relationship, I mean, it's something for merchants as well, right? I mean, some of the goods travel quite long distances, right? So you've got marine cargo. How do you protect against damage that happens sort of en route, and this type of thing to take away some of those pain points?
One of the things we said on the prep call, and I say this a lot, is Like hardworking people can be good at anything, but to be great at something, you have to care about it. And you said earlier in introduction, I love the insurance industry. If anybody who's listening to this can't hear that, they're not listening to you. Do you want to talk about trust as well?
Yes, and I think I can add on to what
Please.
Andrew just said, right? Hassle-free, definitely that we should provide for the customer, right? And also like for the counterfeit, we try to make sure that on Lazada, we don't have the counterfeit product at all. So we use a lot of AI technology to supporting this. But somehow the AI is only the technology that are still in a very major stage, right?
Yeah.
They're still young. So we try to train it every day and like a machine learning, right? So every day, we just want to see it, whether like how can it help protect our customer and our seller at the same time. Because like I said, the seller, also there are some seller that they are fake, right? They are not real, they are not authentic.
Yep.
So how can we make sure that we can differentiate these people from a very good people online?
Yeah, I think that's also in the reviews area, right? So everyone relies on, I think, reviews and how many products you've sold. But I think now there's more consumer concern around, are those reviews actually real or not, right? So if merchants have nothing but 5-star reviews, you start to get a little bit suspicious.
Nervous, yeah.
Do you find that, or have you got some AI tools looking at that for quality of customer
yes,
review?
because what we try to differentiate is also whether it's just a human reviews or is it just like, maybe some bot or yes. So we do have like some technology that try to detect. So, but like I said, every day it's getting better and better, right? So like the other day ago, maybe you can see that, there's still some bot online, but I think today it's much better. And there are a lot of products that are not genuine and we did take down. I secretly take down like more than 1 million SKU
Really?
a month. Yes.
Oh,
that's a number that we
Big
have.
number.
That's a huge number. I'm always interested in like how innovation happens, right? So can you just give me a little bit more depth around, like I understand how the beauty product was developed. It makes a lot of sense to me. But when you look across the product gallery and there are millions of products listed in hundreds of categories, right? How do you determine like where you're going to focus and where you think there's an opportunity for a new product? Because you're innovating across the board, right?
Yeah, I mean, generally with volumes, right?
Fair enough.
And then we would collaborate with Lazada and say, well, where are they seeing challenges, or what are the customer pain points that they're hearing, or complaints or returns and this type of thing.
Yep.
So because we're trying to solve real problems, we're not just trying to be
No,
insurance people
that's the
sitting
point
in
though, right?
sitting in a room dreaming things up on our own. So we really try and understand what are the customer pain points that the distribution partner is seeing, and then how can we innovate a product around that.
So just now you mentioned about like the number that you look at, right? And then what are the other things that Lazada can support in order to make sure that the insurance company can?
I think one, as I say, is pain points. I think the other is value proposition. What's the value proposition that you're wanting to provide, and how can there be risk transfer in some of those guarantees? So, one of the things we did with Grab, one of their key pain points for customers was when they order a Grab and the Grab turns up late, right? Which means they may need to take alternative transport or what have you. So we co-collaborated, and we instantly serve vouchers into the Grab wallet, right? So it's parametric brace. We know if the car's late, if it's over 10 minutes late, we can serve a product in there, right? So it's giving the Grab customer certainty that Grab's going to give them something if they don't deliver on their promise. So things like, your guarantee, where you're guaranteeing you're going to get the right product in the right time, we can use the data that you collect. And at the end of the day, that's it. I mean, you're huge data collecting companies. We can use that data to allow for the transfer of that risk, be it from Lazada or from merchants.
Okay, interesting.
Is there a parametric opportunity there as well, like on delivery, right?
Yeah, as that evolves, right, and as we see the data, I mean, you can start to say,
because when the delivery guy is going around, when the person receives the product mostly, right? Because somebody probably presses a button and says when it arrives.
And you want certainty, as I mentioned before. People want gratification. When I buy something, I want it.
I'm so excited about it. I just want it.
And I think that's where the evolution will go to, more delivery options. And I know Lazada sort of works on logistics as well. But if you can create that optionality and say, well, we guarantee you're going to get your delivery in whatever it is, same day, take it down to 1 hour. because you're collecting all of that data and you know where people are in the journey, you can obviously transfer risk and provide that guarantee that if they don't get it in that time frame, they could get a benefit of that. And that generates more spending on the platform too, because you could give that benefit in the way of coins or other incentives to do more shopping on the application.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more trust there is, the more shopping you're going to do. Right? It's like I always go back to the same 5 restaurants because I know the food that I'm going to get there is exactly what I expect. And I think people want the same thing from their shopping experience as well. Is there a payment opportunity as well? I presume that one of the pain points of both the buyers and the sellers is this like seamless payment experience, but maybe more important for the sellers, right? Because they want to get paid.
So what we are trying to do now is that we are testing the instant refunds for the consumer. Because it's something that we try to encourage the consumer to be the loyal customer so that the seller at the same time they can get the money faster. Right? Because just now like we are discussing about like the button that Lazada has, like when they get the products and then they can click confirm the products that they already received.
The buyer receives it.
Yeah, the buyer receive, right? So we try to encourage, like we're giving the reward, like the last coin to the consumer. For them to click the button as soon as possible.
Right. So let me understand this. So you want the consumer to press the button to say that they've received the product, but most consumers may not want to do this. So you're incentivizing them to press the button by going, if you press the button, we'll give you a little bit of cash. And is that in a Lazada wallet?
No, it's you don't need to use the Lazada wallet.
It's just on like a little bit of cash, right?
Yes, I can also use the last coin to do my next shopping. So for this, when buyer they click the button to confirm, and then the period that the seller have to wait for the money to come into the account will be shorter.
I like it though, because this is a really innovative way to build loyalty. It's like building your own loyalty program digitally,
right?
Which is kind of cool.
Have you seen cash on delivery volumes really sort of drop off since prompt pay and all of these things came out?
I'm not going to say that it's dropping because like at the same time, the fraud online news is widespread everywhere. So actually Thailand about to launch the delivery program next month and Lazada will opt to join it. So this one is...
what is that?
It's a program launched from the Prime Minister office. It's saying that the consumer will be protected for 7 days on the cash on delivery. So meaning that like people who brought the cash on delivery like previously they don't have a right to open the box at the spot, right? But from 3rd of October, then they will have the right to open the box on the spot, and then they have another 7 days to change their mind.
Right. Okay. Because I think that throws up actually a challenge for merchants because they've got to pay for the delivery, right? So you're incurring a cost to send the product, but then if the customer's not there to pay in cash, or they decide, you know what, no thanks, that's a business expense. So that's probably that would be like another area that we would collaborate to see whether there's products that we can build for the merchant to transfer that risk.
I think there are so many ways that we can explore about it because like for Lazada, right, actually we have like 30 days free change of mind, right? So for this one, at the same time, it's like an option. Let's say that it's an option for the consumer whether they want to use this delivery program for 7 days or they want to opt in our program. So at the same time, like for the insurance and everything, I'm sure that you can support us to make sure that the consumer will be like happier anyway, right?
So what's the beginning idea of the delivery program? Like who generated? Was it the government's idea? Was it a collaboration between the government and the e-commerce providers? Like where does that come from? Because it's a great idea.
Yeah, so I think this one is from the government initiative because like I said that there are so many fraud online now.
Yeah.
And the government doesn't really know how to protect everyone. So it's better to have this regulation so that people will be protected. This is a government view. But somehow, like for Lazada, we have already complied with so many regulatory in Thailand.
Sure.
So anyway, but just like for the ease of mind for the consumer and everyone, right?
For sure.
So that's why we say that, okay, we are agree to opt in. And let's see whether like after a few months, will the cash on delivery fraud decrease or not, and then we can revamp it and make sure that it will make it more efficient way.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think that's one of the challenges when you shop online is, take fashion. Are the shoes going to fit? Does the shirt fit? I think that's probably where the industry will go a bit, blending the digital with the physical, potentially.
I mean, the whole idea of online commerce is just a massive leap of faith, right? And I always like to tell the story of the first time I bought a book on Amazon. Okay? And I'll share with you very quickly here. I was living in Japan, and Amazon launched, obviously, in the United States. And I'm like, I want to buy a book, and I don't have access to these books in Japan, but I want to read this book. So I called Amazon because I didn't want to put my credit card into that little box. It felt safer to me to talk to a human and to give a human my credit card number. He was just as likely to steal it or fraud it or whatever. But I think once you realize that it's safe, and this gets back to the trust that we've been talking about this whole time, right? And how both from a Lazada platform side and from a Chubb side, building that trust is so important. Now no one thinks twice about putting their credit card into Amazon. They must have 150 million credit cards on.
I still don't like to save my credit card in there.
Yeah, I don't either, but a lot of people do it, and because they've made that leap of faith and it's safe. But this on the de-delivery side, I think, is just another important step here.
It's great.
Before I let you both go, like, where do you see, if you envision the platform of Lazada just like 3 to 5 years out, where do you see it going? What's the vision for the future?
So I think there are a lot of more rooms that we can improve ourselves in order to support this ecosystem, right? Because anyway, like a lot more people will be online.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the younger generation, like the older generation, everyone becomes online. So there are lots of room that we can expand. Maybe not only like for the insurance, like Andrew said just now, there are so many categories that we haven't been covered yet, right? And then there are also like the payment option that maybe we can do like a lot more. Not only like the credit card that a lot of people in Thailand, they are not still eligible to have one.
Or using one, right? Even if they have it, yes.
Yes. And like the Lazada wallet, of course, that we try to do like more open loop so that people can be online. Yes, so sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such a competitive space. I think that's what we see. You see, TikTok Shop is obviously going pretty well. You've got Temu just launched. You've got, YouTube shopping. I mean, that competition drives innovation, I think, and challenges all the minds within Lazada, I'm sure, to be looking at those and how do you come up with the next product propositions, really to keep the consumers engaged. But just as importantly, as you mentioned, Dr. Thamakorn, the merchants, right? How do you get the merchants feeling like you're the platform to sell on?
Are you also seeing generational changes in people's reaction to both the embedding of insurance, but just the existing of insurance and the protection that it offers when they're shopping online?
It's the convenience, right? So I think if we think about the older generations, they'll still see a product online or a price online, or they'll get their children to look, and then they'll ring their insurance agent.
Really?
That's still the behavior. Whereas I think the new generation coming through is just so used to, transacting online and living their lives online.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And also like the personalization, I think it's something that we are trying to focus more. And maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, it will be even more like competition around here, right? Like right now, we are trying to use like the AR technology. So like for the furniture to see whether like this sofa fit in your apartment or not, and all, right? And now I mentioned about the machine learning, right? So all this technology, the advanced technology and the Gen AI and everything. So these are the things that we try to put on our platform, not only like for the testing, but to see whether it can improve everyone's life.
Yeah, that would be a big step forward. I would love to buy a new couch, but probably not.
I'd love to have AR involved in shopping. Any kind of augmented reality, any kind of XR involved in shopping, I would love to do it. Okay, I want to thank both of you for doing this today. Dr. Thamakorn Supathanarangsri, the Head of Government Affairs at Lazada in Thailand, and Andrew Nisbet, Country President, Chubb Samaggi Insurance. You were both amazing. I can't believe how great you are at this. Thank you both so much for doing this.